Oh, well, hey there guys. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another stream. Welcome to another video. And another video doing this guy. Yeah, that is the ROKAF F-15K by Canopy. Admittedly, I put on pause for a little while because I ran into some issues that I was not happy with, and I decided to change up the whole thing, and I built an F-15E by Great Wall Hobbies instead and turned it into the ROKAF F-15K Slam Eagle. So yeah, but for the sake of continuity in actually completing this build, because it's one of the things I really hate, and that's when you know, you see a model kit, you think you might want to build it, so you do a little research, and you see some guy on YouTube is building the same exact model, you're thinking about doing it, so you decide to watch it, and because you want to see about any kind of particular things about it, if you're going to run into some issues, and if you do run into issues, how does the guy deal with it, all those kinds of things. And you watch part 1, part 2, you get to like part 3, 4, whatever, and then all of a sudden he stops building it and it's not complete. And you're like, I want to see the rest of it. I want to know how it turns out. Well, that's why I'm actually continuing this, even though I'm not happy with the way this thing goes together, and I'm not happy with the build. I'm not going to bother painting it anymore. This is going to turn into a paint mule for me, okay? Because I'm really happy with the Great Wall Hobby kit and how it turned out. I love the way it looks. But I need to complete this. I need to finish it for the sake of finishing it. And also to get this box of parts off of here. So, here we go. Where did we leave off last time? Well, we got the cockpit all done. The seat done. The two halves of the front of the fuselage put together. We got the cockpit put into the fuselage. I assembled the air intakes and painted them. Are they in there? No, they're not. They're going to be in the box here somewhere. So let's pull out some sprues and find some parts here. There's our intake. All right. Okay, so the intakes are together. They're all good to go. Alright, and so we're going to take those and we're going to put them in here. We can put our nose cone aside for now. These go in here, they're going to sit in like this. And they just kind of sit in there. There's no tabs, there's no pins, there's no holes of any kind to guide me on how this goes in, other than just kind of lining it up at the front here. So they tell me the only thing the instructions say is that this edge should go up against that edge. So that's how I'm going to do it. It doesn't even really line up. It's this thing. I hate this kit. So it looks like this is going to rest on top of this somewhere. So I'm just going to throw some glue on there. Glue on this somehow, somewhere, slather it on there, because I don't know for sure exactly where it sits, and we'll put glue on these edges. This seems to be sitting on some little knob that's down there. I don't know if it's an alignment thing, but that's what we're going for. And so there we are. Okay, so with that sort of in, what they really should have done, if they're going to have it this flimsy, they should not have any piece at the back here connecting them, as it doesn't offer anything at all. This doesn't line up here at all. Let me change my camera here. I'm sorry, but this is going to be a lot of complaining. See this here? This doesn't even line up. It's just flopping there. It's not touching anything. This side it almost touches. I'm flush against this one, and I'm flush against this one, but these don't touch at all. Not even close. Well, this one's close, but not this one. And if you're supposed to have this go up against this, well, good luck, because you're screwed. It doesn't line up. Okay? And that's that. The next step is to put this one down on top. So we can do that. And of course, doing that just pushed this out of its place. It's really terrible. I'm going to go with crazy glue. I want this thing to hold. And I want it to hold now. I don't want to wait. I don't normally use crazy glue on my kits, but I want this thing. I don't want to fart around. Okay. I need a paper towel. If there's a fitment problem, whoops, that would definitely be a fitment problem, putting it on backwards. Now the upper and lower halves, I dry fitted these one time, and they seem to be okay. I say okay very reluctantly. And it's these things, these little situations, this is why I started to get away from wanting to build the Academy kit for this particular plane. Because alignment issues, things just not fitting properly, I wasn't happy. Like right here at the back, this pin does not want to sit in its hole at all. It doesn't seem to be anywhere close to. There we go. Wow. Okay, there's the back part of this side. Do our pins at the front line up? This one apparently does. Okay. I'm gonna have to hold this for a little bit, otherwise it's just gonna come apart. All things considered, it's not too bad. Okay, let's move over to this side. This side doesn't look like it's going together all that great. I'm going to have to do bit by bit here. As we start to move along, it starts to separate. And that ain't no good. We don't want separation. How's the back here? This side lined up a lot nicer than the other. Okay, now we'll get to the front here. Which again, I'm going to have to hold it for a minute because it's not lined. It just wants to separate. In a sense, it's kind of par for the course. I mean, two halves of the fuselage that want to separate from each other when there's no glue, well, that happens, and that's not a big deal. When it becomes a big deal when, even though you've got it together, there's still gaps or it's not lined up properly 100%, and you wind up having to fill it, and that's just, it becomes a pain in the neck. And that's when, you know, when there are other kits that do a better job of that out there, I would just rather build one of the other kits. Okay. So, we're in there, we're together. You'll see if you look inside my intakes, look at the bottom. Look at the bottom of those intakes. And a gap there. Okay, I'm hoping that there's something that's going to drop in there and take up that space, because that's dumb. Alright, okay, now the instructions mention chopping the tips off of here and inserting the different ones. I'm not going to bother with that. Okay, so basic, depending on the build you're doing, you might want to cut these tips off. You might want to cut this little tail off, right? Depending on which plane you're building, and that's what they're showing you here, to cut them off. Okay, and then you're going to put on these two. I think these things are countermeasures. If you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these are like radar jamming things, maybe. Anyway, we got to put this piece in between the two engines. That's next. Okay. But actually I don't, because I would if I was cutting this off. If I cut this off, there'd be a big hole here, right? And we don't want a big hole there. So I'm not going to bother cutting it off unless I have to. I don't think I have to. I'm going to put these engine nozzles in here. These are from the oh, looks like I might have to cut it off. Oh no, there we go. They fit. Good. These are from the Great Wall Hobby kit, and they fit perfectly. And they definitely are a lot nicer than these stupid looking things that come with this kit and fit in there. Or do they? It doesn't even want to fit in there. It doesn't fit. Just barely. There we go. I had to fight with it to get that to fit. It's actually separating the two halves. Separating them as you try and fit it in there. Just, yeah, just terrible. Awful. This much better. Boom. Done. Just like that. Anyway, we'll get to those. So, that's it for this page. Let's flip her over. Okay, we got to put this section on. It goes here. And of course our engines go in. But let's find that section first. It's not here. It's not those. There it is. There it is there. Another thing that I'm really happy about when the decision I made to not actually build this as my representative of the ROKAF was the canopy. After I spent the time cleaning up the canopy, or as I was doing it actually, I came to the realization that the molding detail on it was actually on the inside of the glass and not the outside. I'll show you here. Where is that canopy? So, if you remember, there was a big seam line going all the way along here, okay? And as I started to clean that up, I realized, wait a minute, this here, our dividing bar that goes around, that's nothing. It's smooth on this side. It's actually on the inside. You hear that? That's my fingernail scraping across the detail. They put it on the inside of the canopy, not on the top. So, and they did it with the front one too. Okay, so what do you do with that? What am I supposed to do with that? Do I mask it off and have the paint on the top and then it doesn't actually line up with this? Or do I actually try and mask it and paint it on the inside and have a permanent gloss, permanent shiny bar going across there? Like, thanks a lot. Who the heck did that? Anyway, this guy's got to go down in here. Okay. That should be easy enough to do with this. Just along this edge here. Let's kind of slide it back in there, put it down. It lines up pretty good. I mean, the fact that I don't have to worry about any gaps here or here, that's good. Yeah, it seems to be alright. Just going to put a little bit of pressure on it for now. We have our wings. Of course, I haven't assembled any of the wings on this yet, but they want me to put them on now. So there we go, we show that. And of course, I'm using my wings as a little test I'm doing with the Molotow liquid chrome paint. So let's have a look at our wings. Let's see here. There's our main wings. Of course, one's painted chrome. But there's a reason why I did this. And there's one. Two. Three. What about the rest of our wings? Where are they? They'll be around somewhere. There they are. Our tail fins and our elevators. Now they've given me the tail fins as one piece, except for the piece that goes across the top here. Got our little nubs. Get rid of that. And we'll get rid of that. These, it doesn't look like there's a definitive left and right. It looks like they're the exact same mold. What's going to be different is what you put on the top. That's definitely left and right. These are both the... These are floppy. Holy crap. There's no... They do not... They don't lock in. They don't do anything. They're just there. So, let's see if I can convince them to sit in one spot. We'll try one at a time. If that's willing to sit straight up and stay glued, no, it's starting to lean over. So, why am I putting the can of paint there? It's not touching it. Well, I'm doing it as a guide for myself so I can tell it's straight up and down. So let that sit and we'll work on these guys. So these are uppers and lowers. Let's see, which goes which? This one's going to go in here. Once again, no pins, no male to female, anything's in here. It's just put it in and hope for the best. And line it up as best you can. And that's seems to be the direction we're going for a lot of stuff on this kit. Except for a little nub that I didn't clean, so I gotta pull this off. Always clean your nubs, kids. Another one here. Now that wouldn't be so bad if there was a hole there for the nub to fit in, but there isn't. Okay. Let's work our way along the leading edge. I gotta take my glasses off so I can see it better. I will give them this. On the leading edge, they did kind of put it towards the underside as a dividing line, so it's not 100% right on the front. It's almost trying to go underneath. So if you do have to clean it up or sand it down or whatever, it's not bad. I'll give them that. I'll give them props for that. But we do have a big gap here. And of course they're not giving me any fins or anything like that. No No control surface options at all. It's just straight back in similar fashion to the Tamiya F-15C kit. So there we go, one big wing. Let's work on our other side while we still continue to let that dry. This one's going to be funny because it's chrome. You may have noticed I'm shaking my glue bottle a lot. It's because I'm down to a point where the amount of glue in my container only covers about half of the little blue brush. So I shake up the bottle to get more glue on the brush. I will say, even though there's no guide pins or anything like that, or holes for this piece, it does fit pretty good. I would like a slightly smaller gap here at the back, but that's really just nitpicking. If I was really concerned about it, I could put a little bit of putty in there and just fill in that gap a little bit, but it wouldn't be too bad. Okay, so that's that. Let's work on the second tail fin. I mean, realistically, if this is going to be a paint mule, I should just leave these off. Oh, you can even slide them. There's such a loose fit, they even slide back and forth. You can even slide them back and forth. That's terrible. Okay, good enough. Tail fins are on. What about our elevators? Do the elevators glue in, or do they just press in like most kits? We're going to find that out now. There's our elevators. Again, they are one piece each. I'm guessing that on the next page I'm going to have to deal with the air brake, so I might as well get that off there now. Alright, it looks like we are going to have a piece that goes on the inside of the intakes, maybe. I mean, here are the intakes assembled. Yeah, that was another thing I hated about this, the fact that I had to sand down and fix that huge gap there, and then I had a ejector pin hole right there that I put some putty in, and I just didn't get around to sanding. You can see here the gap that between those two pieces that I had to fill in, because it really only touched, it just barely touched it. I'm going to be complaining all day about this. Yeah, let's take a look at these. Slide this here. Do these? No, these just dangle. It's just going to fall off. Alright, so we know what we're dealing with those. What about our main wings? Main wings fit like this, and they dangle, so I'm going to have to hold them up somehow Let's try and find something that's going to be the right height. That's pretty good. I'll do one at a time. Okay. Slide that into its spot, hopefully. There we go. And it's a good height, so I don't have a big gap there. Looks pretty good. This is another thing I would have hated having to deal with this on this kit. Whoops. I would not like having to put putty in here and try and eliminate this line, because the real plane does not have a panel line going all the way across here like this. The real plane just doesn't, but the kit does if you don't do something about it. And so that's just something I'd have to deal with, and I don't like that. I don't like it at all. No, that's just the way it is. Let's see if I never another one of those fins. Nozzles. I do not. I have another one of these nozzles, but it's much shorter, so that's no good to me. This is a nozzle that came out of as an option for the Great Wall Hobbies kit. The Great Wall Hobbies kits comes with both styles, either the newer style or the older style, whichever one you want to do. That's a pretty cool thing they did with that. I am pleased with that. Let's see. How about the air brake? How does this fit? Hey, it drops right on there. No problem at all. Okay. It sits a little too low. You basically have uneven gaps. Straight out of the box. It's the shape. The shape is not right. This is flush right here. Or I'll call it the spine. This is flush. Okay, or it's close. See, it's just a tiny little hit. Okay, not this way. But this sinks lower on each side. This one, you see, I can hit that edge, hitting that edge with my knife. But up here, I'm not hitting any edge. Let's switch over to this side. Again, no edge. If I go back here, oh, I'm hitting an edge right there. So the fit is not it's not that great. They've molded it like it curves down a little too much, but then up here it doesn't curve enough. It's sticking up. It's just one of those things. It's a pain in the neck to deal with. Constant little things like that, which makes me not like this kit. It makes me not want to recommend it. If you want to build an F-15, yeah, it's tough for me to recommend this kit. Let's put this wing in, which is why this is going to be my paint mule. I'm going to test things out on this, which really is going to come down to testing different metals, such as the Molotov chrome. And that stupid gasket on this, I hate that about these Tamiya glues. It never makes up its mind whether it wants to stick to the jar or the lid. All right. this underneath, pull it at the right angle, press it in there a little bit, there we go. And that's how that one's going to sit. Now this one's got a bit of a gap here. That kind of sucks. Let's get that gasket seated. There we go. Okay. They're calling for a little pin to go here. Right there, it would be normally there. It's something that's molded in on the Great Wall Hobby kit. This is a part you have to put on this kit. They show it as if it's going into a divot, but it's not. This is flush, as you can clearly see. That is flush. And you wouldn't even know it's supposed to be there if I don't put it on. I'm not going to worry about the elevators right now. That's just ridiculous. What's next? Hey, my prediction was right. Air brake. We've got our 2 pins. No, they're not designated on the left or right. F-15s usually do not have both the same little antenna things on the top of the tail fins. They don't usually have the same ones. Usually it's like a very thin small one and then a thicker one that's on this side. That's usually how they are, not 2 of the same. So that's kind of funny that they're doing that on this. Put our nose in. Let's see how the nose fits. Well, let's wait, eh? Let's let the glue sit and set for a couple of minutes. Am I really in that much of a rush to get this thing assembled? Well, no, but it'd be nice. Okay, so for our intakes, we have the roof of the intake goes in, but nothing on the bottom, and it's the bottom that looks like crap to me. Hopefully the bottom of the intake covers that up. I think I might be able to get away with this now. Our wings are straight. Yep, they're straight. I'm going to take a look at one of my intakes here. There's definitely a left and a right, I just don't know which is which. This kind of slides in there. Is this the right side? Doesn't feel like it's the right side. How about this one? Yeah, there we go. So put that on there and line that up. Yeah, it's just... It does cover up the bottom pretty good. I'm not sure why Academy has done this. They've molded a little... You see that little... You can see it. You can even see it on the camera. If I got the light, see that? You can tell there's a little dip right here. And I don't know why there's that dip there. It's almost like they want you to put on the ones that are pointed angled down like this, right? Because it doesn't line up. I can put this up so it's flush here, but now I've got a hole here, so I got to put it down and make sure and line it up. If I line it up along the bottom here, make that flush. It doesn't quite line up at the top. It's just ew. This whole kit is ew. Does that make sense? The kit is ew. And, you know, if you're wondering why I switched to the Great Wall Hobby kit instead of this, now you know. Because it was just giving me all kinds of nightmares. Well, I didn't even get a lot done, and I knew it was going to be a nightmare. Okay, where's my other one? just knew it. I knew I was not going to be happy with it. I'd be running into all kinds of problems, and so that's why I abandoned this one. For a kit that goes together much nicer and has a lot less issues and comes out just looking better. This alone was what started it off, was this nose. The fact that they did two halves all the way to the peak and not a cone that goes on there. That right there told me this kit is not that great. The panel lining on this is very, very shallow. Extremely shallow. In the bit of overspray I've got here, I can't even see the detail on the sides. This just kind of sits there and isn't going to be... There's no pin, there's no guide, there's no nothing. It's just literally a flush fit. And nothing else holding it. So you literally just kind of line it up and have at her. And hope it stays. See, I keep moving it, and I don't want to keep moving it. Okay. All my pieces moving around with all my adjusting that I'm trying to do. Really is. Well, if you're a model builder and you like having to use putty and things like that and fill in gaps, and you enjoy that process, then you'll probably enjoy this kit. You'll probably enjoy this kit. If you like doing that kind of stuff, you'll probably enjoy this kit. If you're like me and you prefer kits that just go together nice and you don't have to use a whole lot of putties and things like that, then you're not going to enjoy this kit very much. So Now that these are on, these don't match the contour of the actual underside. I've got gaps, I've got uneven surface. This would have to be sanded down quite a bit to go flush. I don't know what's going on with the, I need to do this, with the angle on the tops of the intakes. It's totally, they are pivoted down towards the center. I don't know if you can really see that on the camera or not. You can see it's almost like, you know, like a Jeep's angry eyes. they're pivoted for some reason, and yet the rest of it is where it's supposed to be. It's not that I've got the left on the right or anything like that, it's just the way it sits. And I don't know why. I don't know what the reasoning is for that. So let's see, let me put this down. There we go. Elevators, held in by a pin and nothing else, and it's a super loose fit. I don't even want to bother putting them on almost. And I kind of don't want to waste the engines in this kit, because the engine looks pretty cool. But you know, the canopy is going to look dumb. It doesn't sit like this. There's a frame that goes on the bottom here to put the canopy on. The cockpit came out looking great. I gotta admit that. The cockpit looks great. Why? Because I added the extra stuff to it, like you saw in episode 1. But as you can tell, this kit does not go together very well. And if you're thinking of building this kit, I would say buy another kit. I hate to say it, because I don't mind Academy stuff for the most part. I've built a couple of Academy kits before and they came out really good, and I don't mind them at all. But they kind of crapped the bed on this one. And yeah, it sucks, because I'd like to give it a good review, but I can't, because I don't like it. I'm not going to bother assembling any more of this. It's all just weapons, and put the interior of the intakes on the top, landing gear stuff, weapons and weapons and weapons. I got 2 sprues full of weapon stuff, missiles and stuff like that. And it's pointless. They're not going to go on this plane anyway, so why bother building them, right? Yeah, that's about it, guys, really. So I wish I could give it a better review. I wish I could say it's really cool and it's nice, but it's really not. It's just, yeah, I've seen better stuff from Academy. This one just not that great, and I'm sorry to say it. Especially because I was really looking forward to this being a Korean aircraft. I was really excited about that, but yeah, the fit just is not great. Anyway, I guess that's a long-winded way of saying that's going to be it for this one, and that's going to be it for this particular series. But just for completion and to show you guys what's going on with this, why did I stop building it? I wanted to get this done for you and show you. And yeah, so that's where I'm going to leave it, guys. Hit that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my links to my Instagram and stuff down in the comments box below. Not comments. Yeah, you know what I mean. How many times you seen that before? How many times you heard me say that? Lots, right? Anyway, that's it for today, guys. That's it for me. Hang on for my next build that's coming up. Give me about a week. I'll figure it out what I'm going to start with, and we'll see you all in the next one.